Hello, I'm here with my good friend, Andreas Westling. Andreas, how are you today?
Kannan, good to see you. I'm brilliant. I'm good today. How are you?
I am so good. Seeing you brings back a blast from the past, makes me very happy. And I want to get into the details. I love the space that you're in pricing. That's very near to my heart. Um,
Yeah,
but why don't you tell our audience how we met? We have a very close friend in common.
exactly. So, Stephen Horn, the co-founder of the company I'm running today, Ignize, knows you from way back when. I think we're talking the 80s probably.
Let's not
And
date anybody, but
no, 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 no. Okay, let's not do that. But
uh,
he introduced me to you, Canon. Maybe it's 10 years back or so when
yeah.
we were entering the US market um, under another adventure, another company that I was CEO for at the time, Navetti.
Yeah.
And we had the blast taking that product and solution to the North American market. So we probably will touch a little bit about that as we go forward in this
Ab-
conversation.
Absolutely. And yeah, just to put some context, Stube is my lifelong friend, and I've known him since college and has become such an amazing, prolific entrepreneur, as you have. And we want to kind of tap into some of that knowledge in terms of how you guys built Navetti, and of course, what's happening with uh, Ignize, which is your new company. So let me start off by saying, yeah, a little bit about your background and also how you led up to that entrepreneurial path that you've taken and you're so steeply on right now. And you're
Yeah.
in Sweden right now, is that right, or Luxembourg?
I'm in Stockholm, Sweden, correct?
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's hear a little bit about how you went into this entrepreneurial journey, and then I want to talk about pricing because I have some great pricing stories to tell you over my career.
So I would say that early on in my career, I had the opportunity to support some leading blue chip companies more from a consultative perspective, helping them through data-driven explorations to capture value, both mainly global manufacturing industries. And then as I got to know Stubion, I was really thrown in the deep side of the pool and got the chance to turn these business requirements into software. And that was really the start of my entrepreneurial journey. And then I've had the opportunity to build on that in different phases of my career, both from a technical aspect, but also from a commercial aspect. How do you turn these business requirements and challenges into opportunities for large enterprises primarily?
100%. And if I could just be a spectator on the wall of your
Yeah.
career, I want to
Yes.
give you a compliment because you always had a depth of knowledge. You're always a very good consultant.
Mm.
But watching you grow and expand to be really a leader and an entrepreneur and kind of a spokesperson and a visionary has been
Mm.
wonderful to watch. So congratulations to you. But I will
Thank
I want to go into price because pricing is so amazing. And I've been an entrepreneur, since I was out of college, basically. And pricing has gone through these great waves. It was always initially cost plus and competition based. And then what I got really into was value-based pricing. And that's why I got joined with you guys at Navetti because when I started my first company, Renaissance Software, we were selling to Goldman Sachs, Solomon Brothers, these very big companies. And we were a tiny company, but we had a lot of knowledge and we built a risk management system. And I remember going into a meeting with Chase Manhattan Bank to do an enterprise license deal. And
Yeah.
I was trembling. I was in this big boardroom. There's all these managing directors making multi-million dollars a year. They said, well, how much for an enterprise license? And I kind of like murmured 5 million.
Yeah.
And they looked at me and they were like, how much is your whole company worth? But I
Yeah.
stayed strong because I knew they had a $1 trillion derivatives book and
Yes.
that we're going to use our system. If the error was even 10 basis points, that itself would be $10 million. So the value, it wasn't about how big we were and how much we had raised, it was the value we were bringing to them. And I
Fully.
thought you guys rode that trend very well with Navetti. And then you got into what I'd call the data driven
Yeah.
pricing engine. And now we're at the AI level. So I want to go through those phases. But tell me a little bit about Navetti and what's the problem you were trying to solve with the big
Yeah.
customers.
Yeah. No, but I think you explain it very well. When we started out, now we're talking a few years back or a couple of decades back, pricing Warren Buffett understood the power of pricing, and you can read his quote. It's pricing power is one of the most important things to evaluate when you evaluate the company. So he understood it,
Yes,
but
yes.
not so many did. Not so many did. So it was more an administrative task. It was managed in Excel or spreadsheets. Someone within the company were sitting with that responsibility, but it was not necessarily a topic for executives and the boardrooms. That has changed over
Right.
the last 15 years. Now
Become
it's
much
really,
more strategic. Yes. Yeah.
yeah, it's very much strategic today, and more executives understand the power of pricing and the difference it can make on the bottom line. But
Yeah.
when we came in, we basically articulated the power of pricing, and we helped them quantify what small changes in price can have a tremendous impact on the bottom line. And we started to help them achieve this, and also really replace these outdated Excel models towards software. At the time, license and maintenance, and then later software as a service solutions.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that too, because one of the thesis that we have at Grand Design Systems is that you have to have a data strategy before you can have even an AI and a model strategy. And
Correct.
the evolution from that data infrastructure, from Excel spreadsheets all the
Yeah.
way to kind of big data and column data, and now what we call our data infrastructure systems, has been very part and parcel with the growth of pricing. But
Yes.
I remember, so you guys had some amazing European customers, and I was an advisor with you guys, and I tried to help you get some manufacturing clients here, and we talked Caterpillar and Ford, and you guys did
Yeah.
an amazing job. You guys grew that company, you sold it to Vendavo. You got
Yes.
and kudos to you and Stube for that amazing outcome. I think I remember you may not remember this, but I originally introduced you guys to Vendamo way before you did the transaction because I thought there was a way they were not good at the consultative approach in Europe. They were much
Wow.
more transactional US based company. Talk a
Yeah.
little about that difference between Europe and
Yeah.
US.
I think there is a cultural difference the way you do business in North America and Europe. But if you focus on the value that you create to clients, I think you can bridge that cultural difference and build a multinational organization that can succeed in both North America and in Europe. But the consultative approach certainly helps in Europe, and be seen as a long-term partner, and not just coming with a great packaged SaaS solution and then expect all of the partner network to solve it. So maybe there is a difference there. But at the same time, going back to your previous question about what has happened in the field of pricing, and you mentioned your value focus, I would say that is still one of the cornerstones. So let go of cost plus pricing, focus on the value that you can help your clients capture, and also deliver through their product offering is very, very important. But today, with new technology, with machine learning and AI, you can be much more effective quantifying that value and make sure that it's reflected in your pricing.
100%. And so, yeah, that's why I was trying to look at those. What happens is when technology changes, then there triggers a whole new approach to how to do things. And the goal, a lot of goal has always around pricing, has always been optimization, first of all,
Yes.
but
Yes.
also personalization, which
Yes.
is that the price for a pair of shoes to me sounds ridiculous because shoes are commodity, might be
Yeah.
very different than a price to somebody else if I'm an athlete or if I'm looking for something. And taking into all those multimodal data is what we get to with some of the city art. So let's now segue into
Yeah.
Ignize. And
Yes.
you and Stube are in my opinion, two of the most brilliant pricing strategists in the world. What did you see, and what was the theory behind Ignize, and how does it take advantage of this latest wave that we're all riding?
Yeah. So basically, what we did when we started Ignize was that we looked at the development of the decision intelligence field, where you want basically to have data-driven insights. We really read up on the space, and we can see that a few years ago, organization was all about how can we become data-driven, etc., and collect more information, but they had a hard time extracting value out of that. And maybe they missed out on some of the external indicators that are available out there. So we wanted to bring those internal indicators, marry them with external indicators, and then build decision models from this so that you can track your business, track the development in the market, model that through predictive analytics, and act on the insights. And then we took this decision intelligence framework to the domain we know best, which is pricing excellence. And that was really the starting point for Ignize. And I can elaborate more on.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. We're going to get into some of your customer use cases and kind of how you've added value. But I want to touch on something that you said, which is very important. We talk about kind of how the evolution of the models have gone, but the data infrastructure. You know, we have a thesis here that AI has brought on the decade of data, and the models at some point are going to be commoditized, and what's really going to matter is your data. And to do cutting edge personalization, optimization, revenue maximization with pricing, you need to have the right data infrastructure. And it starts with going to the cloud-based data storage, but then it goes to data lakes and data warehouses and data processing and management tools. And that's kind of the area that Grand Design plays in. That's why I'm so happy that we can kind of align our thoughts and our value to proposition to customers. You know, I'd love to hear a little bit more about how, when you come in and take a pricing project, and how it expands to different areas of an organization. Walk me through a typical kind of implementation.
So when it comes to pricing, collaboration is important. Collaboration between product owners and central pricing teams and local pricing teams, and then the commercial selling teams. So how you can basically provide relevant guidance throughout that entire chain is important. So if we start at the top of a price waterfall, so a price waterfall would be defining your reference price structure and then move towards different segments of the markets, maybe geographies if you're a global company, and eventually you get to your different customer segments and you provide sales target and floor guidance to different deals and opportunities. If we start at the top, what we can do now with the Ignize technology is that we can learn from the historical transactional data and win rates and how discounts have been applied, but we can lift that to the reference price structures and combine it with value attributes of the products and services that our clients deliver. This was done previously in lengthy consulting engagements to build these custom algorithms and apply them. Now you can auto-generate them, and we call that concept generative precision pricing, that can really recommend the optimum price structure to our clients. And it's no black box. The result from that machine learning process is parameterized in a way that the product managers can understand and collaborate with the technology and take their business decisions.
That's awesome, because you know, when you talk about the problem and the solution you're providing, it actually is tangential to a lot of issues. You mentioned global companies. A lot of global companies have huge issues because they're getting money in different currencies. And, you know, that presents a whole different problem that in terms of, you know, how that reflects in their finances. And so keeping track of all these dynamic variables in real time is kind of really so important.
And that can also add another layer. So we also at Ignize talk about the importance of securing that the price is always right, not only relevant today, but also relevant tomorrow, 6 months from now, a year from now, etc. And in a dynamic market with high level of volatility and inflation rates and other parameters, luckily it's coming down now, but we have gone through a period with a lot of change. And to be able to maintain your pricing in such an environment, it's important to be able to combine what I just described, defining that structure, but also be able to adapt the level as the market evolves. So what we have done in our technology today is that we also feed macroeconomical indicators into the platform. So we can keep an eye on, you mentioned currency fluctuations, but also commodity price development, as well as GDPs and PPIs and CPIs, etc.
That's so amazing, because actually, when you think about it, the pricing problem, you mentioned it's strategic, but it touches market data, customer data, product data, external data, and this has to be integrated. the analogy I use a lot of times when I talk to large customers is it's like preparing a sophisticated dish.
Yes.
You have to have the ingredients, that's your data. You got to have your recipe, that's your model. But then you
Yeah.
have to have tools and your kitchen be able to prepare the tools, which are your data infrastructure, your data pipelining, your data cleansing kind of things. And if you combine those together, you get a delicious meal. So,
Yes. Yes. And
talk,
and
talk. Go ahead.
it's a good example. And we have developed an operational pricing solution here, but we're also willing to both serve up that dish on the white,
Yeah.
in a very elegant restaurant. But
Yeah.
we can also see scenarios where it's more takeaway, where we send recommendations to the quotation solutions or the CRM system, so they don't always need to eat within our restaurant. They can also consume the recommendations from the technology wherever they
Absolutely.
spend their time.
You can do fine dining. You can do quick service as well. I love
Yes, yes.
that. That's great, Andreas. Um, Andreas, that's great. It sounds like Ignize is really using kind of the best of both the data infrastructure tools and kind of the models that you're doing. Can you walk us through some customer engagements or something that you think has had a very positive ROI over the last couple of years or years?
Absolutely, I can mention a case or two. So let's talk about a company that was in the middle of a quotation tool implementation. So CPQ initiative. And CPQ, for those who don't know, is about configure, price, quote.
Yeah.
It's a business process within many manufacturing organizations. And you notice that a P is in that process. There is a price in CPQ, but most CPQ solutions consume price. So what you often realize is that to be successful in your CPQ initiative, you need an optimized price to begin with, to come in to support that flow. So we were brought in to support this enterprise to make sure that that project was successful. And we brought in our technology and the possibility of leveraging generative precision pricing to quickly establish a global reference and market factors to steer the conditions in different parts of the world, and also add sales guidance to provide recommendations to their sellers. And according to the examples you made before, the pricers and product managers would use our technology, but the sales guidance would be consumed through the quotation tool. So we are integrated towards ERP, SAP in this case,
Yeah.
and towards the quotation system.
Yeah, that's a great. We actually have a partner here in the U.S. that's based off the Revenue Cloud and Salesforce that's very deep into CPQ. I'm going to see if there's some things that we can do together.
Yeah. And coming to the ROI, so basically for every percentage of a positive price impact, we tend to see around 7% impact on EBIT, so improvements on EBIT, so 1 to 7. So
Yeah.
if we can get the 1% price effect through, we can see a 7% uplift of EBIT, earnings before interest and tax. And in this project, we're targeting a 3% impact. So it's a big effect on the bottom line. And the payback will be very, very short from launching the prices to having offset the entire investment.
Excellent. Wow, that's amazing. It's very an impactful part. And when you look at this wave of kind of machine learning and real-time data and personalization, this is a space where people can get some low-hanging fruit in terms of some real powerful ROI.
Yeah, and I think also a side benefit from these type of initiatives is that you're establishing a common business language within your organization so that you can communicate well when it comes to pricing and the performance metrics associated to pricing. Because without that, there is a risk that you fall short.
I'm so glad you said that, because that's really true. What we try to do is we try and create, what we say is that people have to have control of their data
Yes.
or using open source, but an open data lake, data lake house, in fact, so that no matter what systems that you're tied to, you always have a repository, like you said, that has the common business language and the common data across the different divisions. So yeah, that's excellent. Andreas, it's a very exciting time. It's been wonderful catching up with you, and I look forward for us to do some business together soon.
Yes, me too. Always nice to talk to you, Kannan. And let's see what the next decade holds.
Absolutely. It's an exciting time.